So today we're going to find we're going to find an equation for a line giving point-slope form. So in case you don't know what point-slope form is, it is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. In this equation, the only things that we're going to be changing is the y1, the x1, and the m. You should recognize m from slope-intercept form as your slope. The x1 and the y1 will just be points. So let's look at our first little fold, and let's find the equation given a slope and 1 point. So if you'll open up your little booklet, the first one says, given the slope of 2/3 and a point, and it passes through the point 4, -2. So we're using the equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We know that the slope is our m, and we know that we can rewrite this point as x1, y1. So now I just plug this stuff into the formula. So y minus, and I said that what we were going to replace was y1, and y1 is -2. So y minus -2 equals my slope, which is 2/3, and then x minus x1, which is 4. So then we're just going to simplify. We're not actually going to distribute this 2/3, the slope. We're just going to leave it in slope-intercept form. But I'm sorry, point-slope form. But I do know that minus and negative is the same thing as plus a positive. So I'm going to change this to y plus 2 equals 2/3 parentheses x minus 4. So what I want you to do is go ahead and pause the video and do example 2 on your own. Alright, let's look at the next section. The next section we're going to find point-slope form given 2 points. So the first time we were given a slope and 1 point, now we're just given 2 points. So let's open up the booklet and look at example 1. So in example 1 it says we have a line passing through -5, 4 and 2, -1. So we're going to let the first point be x1, y1, and the second point be x2, y2. So the first thing I need to do is find a slope so I can put it in point-slope form. So I know finding slope is the change in the y's divided by the changes in the x. So the change in y would be -1 minus 4, and the change in the x's would be 2 minus -5. So when I simplify, that would be -5 over 7. So now I have a slope, and now I just need to choose 1 point to use in the point-slope form. And I can use either one I want. If I simplified, it would still come up to the same equation. So I'm going to go ahead and use this first one that's already x1, y1. So let's go back to our formula. Y minus y1 equals m, and then times x minus x1. So my first y stays the same, and I replace y1 with what y1 is. In this case, it's 4. And that equals m, which is my slope, times x minus, and then my x1, which is -5. So I'm just going to simplify this minus a -5. So y minus 4 equals -5 over 7 times x minus -5 would be the same thing as x plus 5. And then I'm finished. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try to do example 2 on your own. Alright, let's look at the third section. So now that we've found the equation in point-slope form, given a slope and a point, and then given 2 points, now we're going to take that point-slope form and change it into slope-intercept form. So we'll just practice taking point-slope form and changing that into slope-intercept. So in case you don't remember what slope-intercept form is, it's y equals mx plus b. And that's coming from this point slope, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's look on the inside. So there's two different steps we're going to do. The first step we're always going to do is distribute the m. So whatever the slope is, I have to distribute it to what's in the parentheses. So let's do that first on number 1. I take negative 4 and distribute it to what's in the parentheses. So the y plus 3 stays the same, and it becomes negative 4x, and then negative 4 times negative 1 is plus 4. So then the next step would be to add or subtract to solve for y. So in this case, I have a plus 3 over here with the y, so to simplify, I have to subtract 3. So that would leave me with y equals negative 4x plus 1. And that would be in slope-intercept form because y is by itself. So let's do number 2. Same steps. The first thing I need to do is distribute the m. So I still have y plus 2, but then I have 2/3 x minus 8/3. So then the next thing to do is to add or subtract to get rid of whatever's touching or whatever's next to the y. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides and get y is equal to 2/3 x minus 2/3. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video and do 3 and 4 on your own. All right, last section. We've now taken point slope to slope intercept form, so let's take slope intercept form into standard form. So I know slope intercept is y equals mx plus b because we just wrote it above that. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So it's where x and y are on the same side of the equation. So let's open up our booklets and look at 1 or 2 together. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to add or subtract the x term to get x and y, on the same side. So if I look at this equation right here, I see y is on the left side and x is on the right side. So if I wanted to move the negative 4x over here with the y, I would have to add 4x to both sides. So when I do that, I end up with 4x plus y is equal to 1. So the second step would be to multiply the entire equation to make a positive integer. Now remember, when I talk about integers, I'm talking about counting numbers, so it can't be a fraction or anything like that. It has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, my x value, which is a, is already a positive number and it's already an integer. So this is already in standard form. But let's look at the second one together. It's y equals 4/3 x plus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add or subtract the x term to get it on the same side with y. So since it's a positive 4/3, I'm going to subtract 4/3 x. So when I do that, I have negative 4/3 x plus y equals 1. So now in this case, my a is not a positive number and it's also not an integer. So I know that to get rid of fractions, I multiply by the bottom number of my fraction. And to get rid of the negative, I would multiply by a negative. So that means I need to multiply this whole equation by negative 3. So negative 4/3 times negative 3 would just give me a positive 4x. And then negative 3 times y would give me negative 3y. And negative 3 times 1 would give me negative 3. So now this equation is written in standard form. So I would like you to do 3 and 4 on your own.